This is Conrad from the Humber College Student Learning Services Math and Writing Center. Today we are learning how to solve quadratics by factoring and by using the quadratic formula. To get a review on factoring quadratics, you can check out our factoring video. Factoring and using the quadratic formula are two different techniques. We will first talk about factoring because it's a faster method. Here are the steps for factoring. First of all, the right-hand side must be equal to 0, meaning anything on the right-hand side has to be moved to the left-hand side by algebra. Then we can factor the left-hand side. After we do that, we will usually get two brackets. At that time, we can separate the brackets. And lastly, we can solve them separately. To see what this means, let's look at the first example. X squared minus 5x plus 6 equals 0. First of all, notice that the right-hand side is already 0. So the first step is good. Then we can factor the left-hand side. By cross method, you should be able to get that x minus 2 times x minus 3 is equal to 0. At this point, we will be able to separate the brackets. This would be x minus 2 equals 0 or x minus 3 equals 0. Lastly, we can solve these two equations separately. That would tell us x is equal to 2 or x is equal to 3. Here's the final answer. Let's look at other examples. X squared minus 12x is equal to negative 7. Notice that the right-hand side is not 0 yet, so we will have to add 7 on both sides. And that would yield us x squared minus 12x plus 7 on the left, and then on the right-hand side, minus 7 plus 7 will become 0. Once we get there, we'll be able to factor the left-hand side. This will factor into x minus 3 times x minus 4 is equal to 0. Then we are going to separate them into x minus 3 equals 0 or x minus 4 equals 0. Lastly, if you solve them separately, this would tell us x is equal to 3 or x is equal to 4. Let's look at an example with some bigger numbers. 15x squared plus 99x minus 30 is equal to 12. Pause the video and give it a try first. Now the first step is moving 12 to the other side by subtracting 12. So we are going to get 15x squared plus 99x minus 42 equals 0. Now, if you tried using cross method here, it should be difficult because the numbers are big. So don't forget, we also have some other factoring techniques. Don't forget, we can factor common factors. Do you see it here? 3 is a common factor for all three constants here. Factoring out 3 would give us 3 times bracket 5x squared plus 33x minus 14 is equal to 0. The quadratic equation inside the bracket will be easier to factor, and you can try that now. Here we can divide both sides by 3. 0 divided by 3 is still 0, so it's completely gone. Factoring would give us 5x minus 2 times x plus 7 equals 0, which means x is equal to 2 over 5 or negative 7. You might have a question, what if the quadratic cannot be factored easily or it's just impossible to factor? Well, in that case, we can use a special formula called the quadratic formula, which is guaranteed to work every time. In order to use the formula, our quadratic equation must be in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, which in other words means that the right-hand side is equal to 0. Then we can use the quadratic formula x equal to negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a to find the value of x. Here, a, b, and c are just constants. They are coefficients of x squared, x, and the constant term respectively. To see what that means, let's look at an example. We are going to reuse example 1 from the factoring. X squared minus 5x plus 6 equals 0. Here, the right hand side is already 0, so we can use the quadratic formula. We call that x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Let's first identify what's a, b, and c in this case. A is the coefficient of x squared. Remember, coefficient is the constant that's multiplying to x squared. There's nothing here, so the coefficient is 1. That's our a. The coefficient for x is negative 5, and the constant term is 6. So b is negative 5 and c is 6. Now, we can plug in those values into our quadratic formula. So, plugging in the correct values would give us x is equal to negative 5 plus or minus the square root of bracket negative 5 squared minus 4 times 1 times 6 all over 2 times 1. Simplifying that gives us x is equals to 5 plus or minus the square root of 1 all over 2, which can be split into x is equal to 5 plus 1 over 2 or 5 minus 1 over 2, which is equal to 3 or 2. Notice that we are getting the same answer compared to solving by factoring, but factoring is a much faster method. Let's look at another example. 2x squared minus 3x minus 5 is equal to 0. Pause the video and give it a try first. First of all, the value of a, b, and c are 2, negative 3, and negative 5 respectively. Therefore, by using the quadratic formula, we are going to get x is equal to negative 3 plus or minus the square root of negative 3 all squared minus 4 times 2 times negative 5 over 2 times 2, which simplifies into x is equals to 3 plus or minus the square root of 49 over 4. Remember, square root of 49 is 7. Therefore, the answer is x equal to 5 over 2 or minus 1. Notice that the answers are nice because they are fractions and integer, which also means that this is possible by factoring. This question can be solved by using factoring instead. Let's look at another example. X squared plus 5x plus 5 equals 0. Can you pause the video and give it a try first? You should have x equal to negative 3 plus or minus square root of 3 squared minus 4 times 5 times 1 over 2 times 1. Simplifying this gives us this is equal to negative 3 plus or minus the square root of negative 11 over 2. Do you notice something odd here? Right, the square root of negative number is impossible, which means we get no solutions here. Question 4. X squared plus 10x plus 25 equals 0. Pause the video and give it a try first. You should have this as your quadratic formula, which simplifies into negative 10 plus or minus square root of 0 over 2. Square root of 0 is still 0, so the answer is negative 5. Let's look at another example. Negative x squared plus 3x plus 5 equals 0. Pause the video and give it a try first. You should have this as the quadratic formula, which simplifies into negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 29 over negative 2. And because we don't have integer value for square root of 29 and it cannot be simplified further, this will be our final answer. What did you observe from using the quadratic formula? Notice that the b squared minus 4ac part is going to determine how many solutions you have. Therefore, it's called the discriminant. We would usually use this triangle symbol called delta, represent b squared minus 4ac. So we have three cases. If delta is greater than 0, then notice that the b squared minus 4ac part inside the square root is going to be greater than 0. What that means is you'll be able to split it into two fractions. One of them is plus, the other one is minus, because it is not 0. Therefore, we will have two real solutions. If it's equal to 0, then you're going to get negative b plus or minus the square root of 0, which is also 0. So the only answer is negative b over 2a. We call that one real solution. If the delta is less than 0, that means b squared minus 4ac is negative. And can we have negative number inside square root? No, that's impossible, which means we have no real solutions. What that means is we will be able to use delta equals to b squared minus 4ac to determine the number of solutions before we even solve it. Take a look at x squared plus 7x plus 6 equals 0. We can use the formula delta equals to b squared minus 4ac to get that delta is equal to 7 squared minus 4 times 6 times 1, which is 25. Since this is greater than 0, we are going to get two real solutions. If you solve it by factoring, you'll be able to get your solution as negative 6 or negative 1. Let's look at another example. Negative 3x squared minus 13x plus 30 is equal to 0. Can you pause the video and give it a try? By using the formula for delta, you should be able to get that the discriminant is negative 13 squared minus 4 times negative 3 times 30. After some calculations, you should be able to get that this is greater than 0. Therefore, you have two real solutions. What about 2x squared plus 12x plus 18 is equal to 0? Well, don't forget you can still divide both sides by 2 because 2 is the common factor on the left. So this reduces into x squared plus 6x plus 9 equals 0. Using the discriminant formula, it is equal to 6 squared minus 4 times 9, which is 0. Therefore, you're going to get one real solution. In fact, the solution here would be x equal to negative 3. What about 11x squared minus 5x plus 6 is equal to 0? Well, by using a delta formula, delta is equal to negative 5 squared minus 4 times 11 times 6, which is less than 0. Therefore, we can say this has no real solutions. That's the end of the video. Thank you guys for watching. If you like this videos, please give us a thumbs up. And if you have any questions, leave us a comment as well. We will see you guys next time. Bye bye.